Hello, I'm Kevin, and today we're going to explore how to enter and complete problems using Epiphany AI math tutoring and how you can use it to catch your own mistakes while you do the work. There's a separate video that shows how to set up your account, register, and log into the site, including connecting with your teachers and tutors. Please watch that video for details on that. So I'm going to start by sharing my screen here. And here we are. I'll go ahead and log in as Epiphany student, which we used before as our example. And here we are. We land on the assignments page as we usually do. I've already got some assignments in here, some shared by teachers, some of the automatic ones that showed up when I first logged in as some examples. And I'm going to start by picking an assignment from the assignment library on quadratic equations. I'm going to choose this one, and I'm going to check out this assignment to give it a shot. And I'm going to use this as an example of how to do problems. Some of these are pretty easy, but we're going to skip ahead to the second page. Here on the assignments page, you'll see a number of different things. I can edit the assignment, change the name and the details when it's due, that kind of stuff. Mostly teachers will do that. I can add tags if I want a reminder. Hey, this is an assignment that I want to review later. I can flag it for review or for final exam checking. I can try the entire assignment again once I've completed, or even if I haven't, give it another shot as practice. And for situations where a teacher has assigned this to you, you can submit the assignment to them with this system. Let's jump out of that. And I'm going to scroll down here. Here's my second page. I can different pages. You can scroll through pages. There's also a nav bar at the top we'll look at a little later. Let's start with problem number 11 here. I'm going to start off with this, and we're going to go ahead and enter an answer. So we're going to walk through this step by step, just like we would if we were doing it on paper. I'm going to start by typing this in, and it uses some of the common keyboard shortcuts that you're familiar with. If you know of LaTeX, it uses LaTeX commands, and there's actually a place where you can see what those are if you want to use the keyboard shortcuts, but you don't know what they are. So I'm going to enter n squared plus 8n plus 15 equals 0, putting everything on the left side of this. N squared. I use the caret symbol for squared, just like I can use a slash symbol for divided by, plus 15 equals 0. When I'm done, I can either hit enter or click on next step here. It's going to check that step. If I made a mistake, it might share some advice with me, tell me to go back and check it. But that was all good. Let's go ahead and factor this. Here I go, n minus 5, n minus 3 equals 0. Oops, I made a little mistake. It might, in some cases, ask me questions. It might give me specific pieces of information to check. The math symbols here are not quite right, but we're going to get those fixed in just a little bit. This is supposed to be, and I can copy and paste here. This button here is to copy. There should be one right here as well. That's going to be fixed in our next release. I'm going to select this and copy it, paste it down here, and let's just change these to pluses. And now we have the right information. Next step, I want to say that n equals -3 or -5. Well, you can just type it that way. N equals -3 or -5. Or if you're not clear about what to do, I put -3 and I can click over here, answer options, add a solution. It's just going to put the word or there. And that totally works as a way of entering two answers. You can enter any number of answers like that. You can also enter it as a set, n equals -3, -5. I know for math purists, n is not actually the set. It is an element of that set. We're having a little grace on that stuff. These are a couple of ways you can enter that information. And I'm going to click done. Sometimes some additional checks are done when you click done to make sure it's in a reduced form or that it is the final answer and not just a step along the way. But we're not going to worry about that too much right now. Let's go to one more problem here. Okay, here we're trying to solve this one. Instead of using the keyboard this time, I'm going to use the GUI. So this keyboard over here allows me to open up a GUI. And I could say, I'm going to type this out again, 5. Well, I don't have R here, so I'm just going to type the R. And here's x squared. I can enter that. A couple little details about entering this. We've followed what Desmos is doing with plus and minus symbols. If I put a minus in this exponent, it's going to pop out of the exponent automatically. It's meant as a way of simplifying things. If you ever want to put a negative in the exponent, watch our other video on tips and tricks on how to do little things with Epiphany, it'll show you how you can do that, but I'm going to type minus here. And you notice that the minus is not in the exponent, it's on the line. Same thing goes for the equals symbol, and some other symbols will pop you down onto the main line. Just makes it a little easier to enter it. We're subtracting 11r here, and I'm going to say minus 55r plus 120 equals negative 30. I'm going to just hit enter to enter my answer. And you'll notice here, I've got all kinds of other functions. Let's hide that. Trig functions, relations, most of these you can just type in various ways. If you're not sure how to type something, you can hover over one of these. You're supposed to be able to hover over one of these, and it's going to tell you what it is. I don't know why this isn't working right now, but we're going to get that fixed. But that is available in the site, and it's just not working right now. So my apologies for that. When you hover over this, you should see the keyboard shortcut that gives you that specific thing. Let's finish this up. I'm just going to hit the copy button here. This button will paste it on this line. And let's just add 30 to both sides. I get plus 150 equals 0. Next, I'm going to divide by 5. R squared minus 55. You know what? I'm not going to do it this way. I'm going to divide by 5, but I'm going to use this handwriting recognition tool to enter this by hand. I have a touch screen here, but you could do this on an iPad or on a phone. And I'm going to enter. Whoops, hello. Sometimes it does that. You have to resize the screen a little bit to make it work out right. Here we go. Oh, I don't want 5. I'm just going to cancel that out. Pausing for a minute. Now hide that. Show it again. Take 2. Okay, let's try entering this with the handwriting recognition system. I can click here and I can use my my touch screen like you would on an iPad or on your phone. That's a great place to use it as well. And I can just enter this using my touch screen or with a stylus or something like that. Here I'm going to say, oh, I don't want 5. I'm just going to hit this back button. Actually, I can put a slash through it and it'll get rid of it. It's just r squared. I'm going to type in r squared minus 11r. Notice that it's actually writing it up there as I'm typing it. Plus 30 equals 0. I can go ahead and hit enter to enter that answer. It's going to check it. I can keep going here. I'm going to factor this into r minus 6, r minus 5 equals 0. And I'll finish this up with r equals 5 or 6. Didn't quite get that right. Let's see if I can fix it. There we go. And we have our answer. So you can enter this typing using the keyboard. You can enter it with the handwriting system, especially if you're on a phone or an iPad. That can be a great way to do it, some kind of tablet. You can also enter it through the GUI if you want to. And then when you're finished, just like we did before, we can select done, and we are done with this problem. Let's talk about a couple of other ways that other features we can use when we work on problems in Epiphany. I'm going to use this nav bar up here. This allows me to jump to different places, like back to the assignment or back to all my assignments. I'm going to go back to solving radical equations. This is an assignment I had in here before. And I want to try problem. I'm going to try problem number 6 here. For those of you familiar with radical equations, we're going to have to square both sides. The first thing we want to do is put everything on one side. So I'm going to just copy and paste. Oh, let me use an example here. And it still isn't working. I can't hover here. Nuts. I can put the square symbol in here with the radical. It's backslash SQRT. That should do a pop-up right here if I needed to. Backslash SQRT. M minus 1 equals M minus 7. That's good. Next, I'm going to square both sides, and I get M minus 1 equals M minus 7 squared. And when I do this, it says I have more solutions in the next step. When we solve a radical equation, sometimes you get what's called extraneous solutions. So we're actually going to be implementing something to help catch a lot of these ahead of time so we don't flag them yet. But for now, sometimes these might be flagged as a mistake because this actually has more solutions than the next step. If you see that and you think you're right, you want to continue anyway, you can do that. You can just say, hey, I'm going to continue anyway. I want to keep going. And you can do that whether it's something you know is a mistake or not. But in particular, if you have radical or logarithmic equations that have extraneous solutions, this can come up and just watch out for that. So working this further, I have m minus 1 equals m squared minus 14m plus 49. This is all still good. M squared minus 15m minus 50 equals 0. I'm going to go ahead and factor this, and I made a mistake. That was supposed to be plus 50 equals 0. There we are. And now I can say m minus 10, m minus 5 equals 0, and m equals 5 or 10. Now, I'm not going to click done yet because one of the things about these problems, you have to check all of those numbers to make sure they actually work. Let's plug in m equals 5. I've got the square root of 5 minus 1 equals plus 5 equals 5 minus 2. But I don't want to enter this. This is just going to be scratch work. So one thing I can do here is there is entry without review. I can put scratch work in like this. We're going to keep track of it, so you can turn it in. It'll be part of your homework, but it's not necessarily going to check your work here. It's just something that's kind of on the side that you might do in the process of doing this. Next, I'm going to double check it. Square root of 4 plus 5 equals 5 minus 2. 2 plus 5 equals 3. 7 equals 3. False. And I'm going to just, once again, enter that without any kind of review. I can also enter an explanation if I want to in words. Here, if I type in enter an explanation, I've got some text. It's a little clunky entering it like this. I'm going to go back to here. If I hit backspace again, it won't be text anymore. But I'm going to start typing text here. 5 is not a solution, or I should say 5 is an extraneous solution. And I can just click next step. It's going to know not to check that. Let's check the number 10. I'm going to copy this up here and paste it. And I'm going to check for 10. 10 minus 1 plus 5 equals 10 minus 2. 3 plus 5 equals 8. Yes. Oops. I should have entered that as an entry without review. Let's do that. And my final answer here is just m equals 10. Now, when I do this right now, it's going to say, hey, we did have 5 and 10 as answers, but only 10 is the answer now. Again, we're going to add some capabilities to make it so that we catch that and that we don't flag that as an error because it matches the original equation. But for now, just go ahead and select continue anyway. I think this is a correct step. And once you've done that, you can say, hey, I'm done with this problem. So we have all the information we wanted in this problem. You can also, if you like to, like these are steps that I'm making as notes as part of my problem. I can also add a comment here. Like, for example, right here, I can add a comment. I'm checking for extraneous solutions. These are notes that your teacher or your tutor might see. They can also send comments back, and those comments will appear in these notes on the side, but would not show up if you turn this in as part of your homework. So the only thing that your homework will show is the steps that appear here in the line of the problem. So let's try one more thing. I want to show you the other capabilities for available in the system. Let's go back to our assignments. We're going to make a new assignment, sample problem, and this is going to be a substitution problem. We're going to create an assignment and a new problem. We'll call this number 1. Plug in x equals 5. We're going to say y equals 3x squared plus 2. So if I want to plug in x equals 5, I can just replace x with 5. 3 times 5 squared plus 2. I'm going to select plug in substitute, and I'm going to say that x equals 5. That's the substitution I'm doing on this line. I'll save this. Now I'll click next step. It notes that that's correct. Next, I'm going to say y equals 15 squared plus 2. Next step. Oops, I didn't follow proper order of operations. I got to see what happens. And sometimes it'll ask you questions. It did in this case. You can answer the questions. It might say, like, tell you what happened. It gives more information to figure out how you're working on the problem. I'm just going to hit escape and pop out of both of those windows. And I'll now say, oh, yes, y equals 3 times 25 plus 2. And I can finish the rest of this in one step. Y equals 77. And I'm done. So watch our next video, which shares a few tips and tricks for how to handle certain types of problems and the different types of problems you can enter using Epiphany. Thank you for choosing our site, and we hope that you have a good time learning how to do math. There are 2 more things I want to show you before we wrap this up. The first is, as part of our assignment information and even our problem information, in fact, let's go to this problem here. I can look at the options for a problem. It might say, hey, our domain is the real numbers or the imaginary numbers, if you're familiar with those. The information on how to solve the problem should be in the problem name or description. So you'll see that information at the top of the page. And then one other thing I wanted to point out is, let's say I'm done with my assignment. I want to turn it in. Let's look back at this solving radical equations assignment. I can say print assignment, and it'll show all the steps you went through to get your answer, including the mistakes. It's okay for your teacher to see the mistakes. They want to see how you did it and how you corrected those mistakes. This is learning. This is how we go about figuring out how to catch our own mistakes. And we can look back at it later, figure out what we need to practice if there are some things we're making as mistakes, maybe more often than we should. So we have the ability to print this out, turn it in. It also includes a QR code that tells teachers, hey, this is something that's helping me learn, not something that's doing these problems for me. I even include a specific link that shows teachers how to connect with your work if they haven't already connected with you. Thanks for checking out Epiphany AI Math Tuning to help yourselves learn how to catch your own mistakes. Good luck and happy math hunting.